Hari Om everyone, welcome to this class. Kathopnishad. We will be continuing from where we left off from the previous class. We have seen the first chapter to completion, the second chapter, first part. Tritiya Adhyaya, Pratham Valli is what we are looking at. So this is the 22nd class in our series. Let's start with the chanting first. I'll chant at my end. You can chant at your end. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are starting with this second chapter, first part, and we are into the fifth verse. We had seen the fourth verse still in the last class. So that was the Swapnantam Jagritantam. So now we are into the fifth verse. Just read this quickly. य इमं मध्वदवेद आत्मानं जीवमन्तिकात् ईशानं भूतभव्यस्य न ततो विजुगुप्सते एतद्वै तत् य इमं मध्वदवेद आत्मानं जीवमन्तिकात् ईशानं भूतभव्यस्य न ततो विजुगुप्सते एतद्वै तत्. So here the process is being continued in which the consciousness is being mentioned as our own nature, etat vaitat. That consciousness that we are talking about is the consciousness functioning through me and through the whole of the universe also. So before we enter into this verse and the coming verses, we'll just have to do a broad understanding of the total structure that we'll be seeing in these verses so that we can understand what we are doing. So we'll have to go back a bit to Tattva Bodha or what we have seen earlier also in the initial part of these classes. That is about the original consciousness and the reflected consciousness. Because this is the topic that will be explored in the 5th, 6th, 7th and the 9th verses. And then again from the 8th verses, the new topic will come and that will connect to the 10th. So 8th and 10th. So up to 10, what is the overall structure? Let's have a look. So I'll just share the nature of what this consciousness that we talk about. So now we have seen earlier that there is one original consciousness which is the source of everything, right? This original consciousness is the one through which everything is manifested. And this original consciousness is the one that projects with its power of Maya the whole world of names and forms, right? So these names and forms, we name them as different reflecting mediums, right? This consciousness has projected. We'll see the logical understanding of also how it is projecting these later on. But right now, first we understand how this consciousness is projecting all these. So first it is projecting the different names and forms, and according to the level with which we treat them, according to that level, we will give them different names like the reflecting medium 1, reflecting medium 2, reflecting medium 3, and then 4, 5, 6, and so on. 6, right? So one consciousness having different reflections. So there are different mediums. So what happens? Does the original consciousness change? No, it does not change, right? There might be 10 reflections or 20 or 100 or million. The number of reflections will show different reflections. Number of reflecting mediums will give you different reflections depending on the size of the medium, right? And because of that, the original consciousness is unchanging. It is never changing. We call it kutastaha, not changing with time, space, and object. Right. So thank God that it doesn't change, because otherwise, if I look at myself in 10 mirrors, I will become Ravan. So I will have one face only. So therefore, if I have one face, that is the original consciousness that we call Bimb. The name for that we give technical Bimb. And the reflection is the Pratibimb, the opposite of the Bimb. That which we see in opposite to ourselves, in front of ourselves. That is the Pratibimb, the reflection in the mirror. So at the individual level, we have the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. Sthul Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karan Sharir. Same way at the total level also, at the level of the Samashti, at the level of Paramatma, we have again the same gross body, subtle body, and causal body. You can call it the total body, or the Samashti Prapancha, the total body, total mind, and total causal body. So all of these three are at the total level, right? So when the consciousness reflects of these, then it is able to give them life. It gives them existence. Without consciousness, everything will collapse. So once consciousness is there, then only these will be observed. That is why in Vedanta we always accept, we always logically also derive that it is the consciousness only that can be a cause. Jada can never be a cause. We'll look at this in tomorrow's Purush Sukta also. So Jada can never be a cause. Even in the starting, when the creation is being mentioned, it is said Tato Akash Sambhutaha. So first the Akash is born out of that consciousness, and then the remaining elements. So ultimately everything is what we call Chetanvad, not Jadavad. So our argument is out of consciousness everything is manifested. So now all these six bodies are manifested out of this consciousness, and then when the consciousness is reflected of them, we give it different names. It's nothing to be, don't get very worried about if you remember or not, but still it's good if you know the terms. So when the gross body is reflecting the consciousness, we call it the RC1. RM1 is reflecting the consciousness. We call it RC1, reflected consciousness 1. And the technical name for that is Vishwa. The same way when this reflecting medium 2, the subtle body, the Sukshma Sharir, it is bouncing or reflecting the consciousness, we call it RC2, reflected consciousness 2. The name of that is Tejasa. Tejasa. And then finally the reflected medium 3, that is the causal body or the Karan Sharir. When that is reflecting the consciousness, we call it Pragya. Right? Same way with at the total level, at the Samashti level, at the RM4 is the total gross body. The total gross body is reflecting the consciousness. Then it is RC4, or we name it Virat, or another name is Vaishvanara. Then the total mind, or the total causal body. The total causal body is reflecting the consciousness. Then we call it Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha, RC5. And then again the RM6, the reflecting medium 6 is the total causal body. Samashti Karan Sharir. So that Samashti Karan Sharir, when it is reflecting, then we call it the Ishvara. Or another name is Antaryami, the inner modulator, the inner controller. So the one. So this creation will start from the causal level first. Okay. First it will start from the causal level. Then it will go to the subtle level, and then finally to the gross level. Right. So all of these six, now what we have to understand, all of them are the one and same original consciousness only. That means there is no difference. That means this Jiva, the reflected consciousness of whom is being reflected, is the same as the consciousness that is reflected in the Paramatma. The Sharir is different. The body is different. or we can say the upadhi is different. The conditioning is different. So just like a pot, there is a pot space, then there is a total space, or there is another space, the room space. Those different spaces have different names. They have different shapes. But ultimately, is there a pot space separate from the room space? There is only one space, one infinite space. Same way, one infinite consciousness pervading through all of these, right? So in this way, this consciousness is the one that is going through all of our uh, six bodies, right? So when we look at these six bodies, we have seen that through what we saw in earlier in Tattva Bodha also, these six pairs of consciousness we have derived, right? So now, when I look at these, what are these six? First of all, the physical body. With the physical body, I am able to experience all the objects of the world. So sthula. So stool. And then when it comes to the subtle body, then the mind, thoughts, emotions, knowledge, ignorance, feelings, and all. In short, my subtle body. And when I experience that, through that, the consciousness, when it pervades, then I can perceive the subtle worlds. I can know my thoughts. मैं अपनी प्रवृत्तियों को जानता हूँ. So that way. And then finally, when we go into the deep sleep state, that is when we are perceived, then when the causal body or the Karan Sharir is being experienced, that is the absence of all material. Everything is the potential form. Nothing has been expressed right now. It can be expressed. It is there in the seed form. So it is in the Bij Rupa. So thus these three, Sthul, Sukshma and Karan Sharir Traya, the consciousness is manifesting through all of these three. And then when we seen this, we have seen these names, this Vishwa, and then Tejasa, and then through Karan Sharir is Pragya. All these three are expressing that one same consciousness only, and then also same through the causal level also, right? In the causal level also. So this level, this vision that we call, this is called Sarvatma Bhava. Sarvatma Bhava. I see the one same consciousness going through all the beings. That is the Sarvatma Bhava. This is what we have to develop through these coming verses. Huh? So the vision of one consciousness alone in the form of Jiva and Ishvara or all the other combinations, that is called the Sarvatma Bhava. And so here Yamadharma Raja says, one Chaitanyam alone, Etat Vaitat. Again and again he will repeat. Wahi ho tum, wahi ho tum. You are that only. So that same consciousness is available to us as the different names and forms in the universe. So just like there is one water alone, and then there is a small well, there is a pond, there is a river, but all of them is water only. Yeah? So even if the ocean is there, it is also water. So the truth of the well or the river or even the wave in the ocean, that is also the truth of it is water itself. Similarly, the truth of all the objects of the universe is consciousness. So, and who is that consciousness? I am that consciousness, right? So we'll just bring the verse up here. So here, Imam Madhvada Veda. So this soul, this Atma is available to us at two levels. Huh? One is the Jivam Antikat, as the inner consciousness of the Jiva, as the closest to the Jiva. That is the Jivam Antikat, the very, very closest. So Ved Atmanam, know this Atmanam, how? As Madhvada, Madhva Adam. So there is a dot supposed to be here, Madhvadam. It's not there in this text, but if you see other texts, it will be there. So if you split this up, it is Madhu Adam. Madhu Adam, Madhu represents the fruits of action, the Karma Phala. So the Karma Phalam that are there, that are available to us, that is called Madhu. So the Karma Phalam is the Madhu, which Adam means to eat, Patti, the word. So Madhvadam represents the fruits of the karmas, the actions that we do. That is the Jiva who is experiencing this. Here, Imam Madhvadam Veda, the Jiva who is experienced as the innermost essence and the enjoyer of the fruits of action. Enjoyer of the fruits of action or the karma phala. And then what are we comparing that to? Ishanam Bhuta Bhavyasya. Ishanam Bhuta Bhavyasya. So the ruler of the past and the future. Are we the ruler of the past and the future? No. We barely manage to rule our present, right? So therefore, the ruler of past and present is Ishvara, right? The Lord, the Ishvara or the Antaryami. So that is the ruler of the past and the future. So that is Ishvara, and that is that same Ishanam Bhuta Bhavyasya. That is the same Etad Vetad. So we'll introducing Etad Vetad first, then we'll go to Tato Na Vijugupsate. So that ruler of the past and present, that is the Ishvara, and this individual consciousness, which is Karma Phala Bhokta, Madhu Adam. The one, I will come to another beautiful meaning of Madhvadam later. Let's finish this part first. So, Madhvadam represents the eater of honey, the eater of karma phala or the karma phala bhokta. So, one who knows this oneness, that I am that same consciousness, etad vaitat, what happens? He becomes fearless. He doesn't need to hide anything or he doesn't need to protect anything. Na tato vijugupsate. Vijugupsate in simple language, it means that उसमें कोई घृणा नहीं है. He has no hatred in himself. ततो न विजुगुप्सते. उसमें कोई घृणा नहीं है. But that घृणा also represents that once this knowledge of my true nature, it makes me become fearless, then I don't need to hide something. What causes disgust? जब हमें कुछ छुपाना पड़ता है. When we need to hide something, something is not worth showing to others. Sometimes we hide some of our defects also. Some of we don't like to show our defects to other people. So when I know myself as Atma, I become fearless. There is nothing for me to hide. I am in everything and through everything. There is nothing separate from me, right? And the word, it does not trouble me. So this is the very same Atma earlier mentioned as Brahman, the infinite reality. So Jugupsa is the head. Also, one more meaning of Jugupsa is the attainment of Yoni, the entering the womb, or giving birth or getting birth. So many beautiful meanings of all coming to the same conclusion only. They will bring you to the same. When you enter into this world, you attain to Jugupsa, you attain to hatred, you attain to Grida. Because when you enter the world, you are entering this world of all the Sukha Dukha. So mainly Dukha. So therefore, one who knows this, one who knows this, he knows his non-duality. He knows that I am not separate from that consciousness. That consciousness is me only. And now, what about that consciousness? What about the Lord? We saw in Avatar Rahasya also in Purush Sukta, that Avatar, he appears to take birth but doesn't take birth. Right? So here also, this Lord also, he appears to take birth but he doesn't actually have any birth. Right? So therefore, or because clearly that how can the creator of the world, the one who is created, how can he himself take birth? So when I realize my oneness with that Lord, then I am myself, release myself of the problem of birth and death, right? So this conception that we have of ourselves, what is the conception? Madhvadam. The conception of ourselves is doer and enjoyer. We do something, we get some karma phala. And how do we enjoy? By the instruments that we have. Or the instruments that we have. What is the first instrument? Is prana. The prana, the life force. The first is prana. Without prana, the sense organs won't function also. There is a very beautiful story in Taittiriya Upanishad also. So there, not all the organs are fighting among themselves, and maybe I've told this earlier, and they want to prove who is superior. So the eye says, if I don't see, then how can anyone walk, and so on. Each of them, feet are saying, if I don't walk, how will you reach anywhere? And they are all proclaiming their superiority. And prana is listening quietly. And then he says, okay, you guys keep discussing. I am going for a walk. I am going outside of this body. And the moment he threatens, they all, oh, no, please, don't go. So they all call him back, right? So therefore, clearly proves his superiority. Without prana, none of them can run. So first instrument is prana. Right. So and then the sense organs and then the mind. So all of these are become our instruments to do action, to do karma, and also to enjoy the fruits of the karma. Both ways. So therefore, they become our upadhi. They become our conditioning, and this conditioning operates us. This is the what we call the vyavaharika or the transactional form of the jiva. I am forever doing transactions, right? So now this jiva, what is the speciality of this jiva? He has jnana shakti, he has Ichha Shakti, and he has Kriya Shakti. And in fact, his Ichha Shakti is almost infinite. He can have infinite desires. But his Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti, they are hindered. They are limited quantity. So for the Jiva, the Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti are always very, very limited. So this is what is the reason for that? What is the reason? Reason is the Jiva is identifying with the conditioning. Hey, the conditioning is what? This body. So this body is very, very, very limited. So when this body is limited, the limitation is of the conditioning. But this limitation, it imposes on the self. It imposes on the self which is limitless without any conditioning. That limitation, because of its ignorance, it imposes on the self. So just like I said, the conditioning of the pot space is a pot, the space within a pot. It is dependent on the upadhi. What is the upadhi there? The pot, the shape of the pot, right? So the conditioning of the pot space is dependent on that. While what about the space itself? It is unlimited. So once I remove the conditioning, I can see the space as unlimited. Same way when the jiva is separated from the conditioning, and same way he's removing the conditioning from Ishvara also, right? Ishvara also is having an upadhi, even though it is so big. It is so big. It is the whole universe. But you will have to remove that conditioning to get to that oneness. For getting to the oneness of consciousness, you will have to remove the conditioning. So the main conditioning, what is the main conditioning? It is the ignorance. Ignorance of my true nature. That is the main conditioning. Of its children or its offspring are the mind, body, etc. But the main starting point is this ajnana, the ignorance. So this removing the ignorance by self-knowledge, it makes it completely free from the conditioning and appearance of limitedness. So then he knows that my difference from Ishvara is only of conditioning. Only of conditioning. And by discarding the conditioning, by letting go of my conditioning and mentally letting go of the conditioning of Ishvara, I am one with Ishvara. So that ruler of the past and present, Bhutu Ishanam Bhutu Bhavyasya, that is also a conditioning by Maya. Maya is doing that conditioning along with time and space. So the karma phala bhokta and the Maya conditioning, both when discarded, only the infinite pure consciousness remains. So then hatred or disgust goes away. Na vijigupsate. So leaving this world of pain and dirt, he is released. So what should be the condition of such a person? He should be having a cause of joy. He should be having a cause to celebrate, right? Because for Agyani, for us, the taking of birth and death, they are both are sources of pain. They both are sources, and for the Gyani also. But for Gyani, the death is the source of joy of liberation. That is why in earlier days, nowadays I don't know how much it is done. But earlier days, when the Gyani used to leave the body, they used to celebrate. They used to take out a procession also. That finally he has been liberated. Because, of course, he will never say, I'm a Gyani. But those who observe the behavior of such a person, they can tell, right? So, therefore, when he leaves, he is living into his true nature. He is living into boundless joy. And therefore, it is a cause for celebration for that person. So if someone knows that his own, yes, Swarupa, you want to ask something?
So I was just thinking that how does that person know that the soul is liberated?
Yeah.
Like they
So
celebrate, no, so they're not sure whether it is liberated or not.
that is true. That is true because we have seen in Tattva Bodha also at the end that the Jnani also will never say that I am liberated. because he will always know internally what is his state. But for him, he leaves that liberation to the Lord, because he never knows what vritti will be hidden at one corner of his mind, right? So he will be humble. But for other people, no, even though they are not sure, but when they see the behavior of such a person, that he's never desiring for something, he's never putting any demands on anything, he's all, and he's also advising. Such a person will not just be showing it by his behavior. He will also be a teacher. What he teaches, from that also they will understand. And when they relate that whatever he is teaching, he is also living by, he is also living that same thing, then they can make a fair estimate, right? And also, because not just him, earlier there were other people also who had reached that state, right? So they could tell that this person is liberated, right? So therefore, this person is therefore celebrated. So now, if someone knows as that as his own self, then he will not be bound by birth. If he knows that consciousness as his own self, he will not be bound by birth. He is unborn, because the consciousness is, it can never be born. So why? Because if, let us say, for an example, let us say that this someone who is the source of all birth, Ishvara, let us say that he himself is having a birth. So what will happen? That means he is not the source of his own birth. अपना जन्म का तो source नहीं हुआ, है ना? So therefore, that is one event you will have to exclude. So therefore, if he is the cause of all birth, he himself should be beyond birth. He should be logically beyond birth. So therefore, Ishvara is definitely beyond birth. And same way, Ishvara, or rather we should say the total consciousness, is beyond birth, right? And someone who knows that as his own self, that I am that very consciousness, he will also not be bound by birth. He is also unborn. So he who is not himself born and who never gives birth also. In fact, the giving of birth also is not actually, you cannot say that he is giving birth also. So the birth is just a projection. So it is in the realm of Maya. It is Maya who's making it appear like a birth. So actually, he doesn't give birth also. So when we say Chetan is the Karan, conscious or entity or the sentient entity will always be the cause of everything in the universe. So that cause is true, because it only can project the world. But same at the same time, he can never be divided into parts. Therefore, his oneness will always remain. So that means that the cause that he is becoming, जो कारण बन रहा है, वो भी real नहीं है. He's not actually becoming something. So that is the reasoning beyond this thing. Right? So tato na vijugupsate. In this way, ya imam madhvada veda atmanam jiva mantika. So the here in this section, what we have done, we have seen established the oneness at the Karan level, causal level, the Karan Shari pe, because as the Jiva at the inner side, inner level is where he is in the causal body, through which he can express the subtle body and the gross body in the deep sleep state. And same way Ishvara also, Ishanam Bhuta Bhavya, so Ishvara is also at the causal level. He can become the cause of everything. He can give birth to everything. So at the causal level, the consciousness functioning to both is the same. So now we go to the next. Just one point, going back. Ya imam madhvada veda. So I said about madhvadam. So madhu adam. Madhu also represents the essence. It also represents in a way someone who knows his essence as that of joy. And Madhu represents joy. So it also represents someone who knows his essence as that of infinite joy. That person will know his oneness uh, with the ultimate consciousness. Adam means to eat, but Madhu Adam is like uh, one who uh, one who consumes or devours that infinite joy, or one who sees himself in that infinite joy. So यः पूर्व तपसो जातम् अद्भयः पूर्वमजायत गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तम् यो भूतेभिर्व्यपश्यत एतद्वै तत् यः पूर्वं तपसो जातम् अद्भयपूर्वं जायत गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तम् यो भूतेभिर्व्यपश्यत एतद्वैत्यत् so यह पूर्वम तपसो जातम. Tapas represents the manifestation of the universe. So when we say Hiranyagarbha, the Brahmaji, he did tapas. So he focused his energies, brought them together to project the universe. So that is Ya Purva Tapaso. Through that tapasaha, the Lord, in the form of the subtle body, that Hiranyagarbha, he expressed this whole visible world of names and forms. So, ya purva tapaso jatam. Jatam is to give birth to. And from where did he give birth? Adbhaya purvam ajayata. In the beginning of the universe, he gave birth to the universe through the water. So, what is the water we saw earlier? Adbhaya. Adbhaya represents, water represents the first clear expression of existence. So in the Nirukta, also in all the different texts where we have the what we call the synonyms. Synonyms. So the synonym, one synonym for water or jal is also sat, existence. Right. So jal is also so from the primal existence, from the pure existence, this Hiranyagarbha, he manifested the whole visible universe. Right. Adhya is jal, jal is sat. Right? So ya purva tapaso jatam adbhaya purvam ajayat. And then guham pravishya tishtantam. And then he remains seated. He enters into the cave of the heart. That very Hiranyagarbha in the form of the consciousness that is controlling us. Yo bhutebi vyapashyata. So there, through that, he is able to see all the objects outside. How do we observe? How do we see the objects outside? Through the subtle body, through the through the sukshma sharira, sorry, through the sukshma sharira. So through the sukshma shariram, bhute bhi vipashyata. We through the sukshma sharira we perceive all the names and forms or the objects of the universe, all the objects that are built out of the elements. Bhute bhi means all the elements are the bhutas, and from that, whatever the objects are manufactured or created, that this consciousness is able to see. So etat vetat, and that consciousness again he is repeating that it at the both levels, when he has created the sukshma shariram also, and the earlier was the causal body. So from the causal body, we have seen the Hiranyagarbha coming out, and the Hiranyagarbha is now manifesting the subtle universe. So guha pravishya tishtantam yo bhutebi vyapashyata etat vaitat. So this very consciousness is at the subtle level also, at the individual level and at the total level. It is the very, very same consciousness that I see functioning through me. Ya purvam tapaso jata. So it's a very technical mantra. Here again, we have seen that this consciousness expressing as the total subtle body and the individual subtle body, that is the sukshma shariram, and the sukshma prapancham, that is the tejasa, the consciousness. This is the same one. So now this Upanishad is describing what we saw here as Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha is, we have seen here two parts. So one is the subtle universe and the reflection in that. So one is the reflecting medium. So that is the subtle universe and the reflected consciousness. The reflected consciousness name is what we saw earlier, RC5. RC5 is reflected consciousness, Hiranyagarbha, the subtle universe. Okay? So this is how the subtle universe is born out of what? Out of the initial causal universe. That is why we say from the Nabi of Vishnu, there is a lotus born, and then on that lotus, Brahmaji is born. Right? So initially, when he is in the sleeping state, when Vishnu is in the sleeping state, he's lying down. And from lying down, if you have those who have been to Padmanabha Swami temple, so there Vishnu is lying down, and there this big murti is there, Vigraha is there also. So this causal universe is therefore giving birth to this uh, Sukshma Prapancha. So now if causal universe was there, what about the reflection? Wherever the reflecting medium is, there has to be a reflecting consciousness. So this reflecting consciousness is Hiranyagarbha. Just like we saw there, the reflected consciousness name was Ishvara at the causal level, right? So now at the appropriate time, after the causal universe has got slightly grossified. At the causal level, it is very, very subtle. You cannot perceive. There is no differentiation. Now it has slightly grossified, evolved into the subtle universe. So this current prapancha has converted into the sukshma prapancha, which is in the grossified form. Right? And this Sukshma Prapancha is born out of Ishvara. So this reflection is called Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, technically, Hiranyagarbha was born out of Ishvara. Actually, they are one same only. But when we go into sequence, then this is how we see that. So how is it that Ishvara created this Hiranyagarbha? We saw here by tapas. By tapasa. And same way by tapasa, he also created the rest. So tapasa chiyate brahma tato annam abhijayate. We saw in the second part, first Valli second part. Tapasa chiyate brahma tato annam abhijayate. So the word that tapas that we have used, if we bring it here, then Ishvara has created Hiranyagarbha and Hiranyagarbha has created all the subtle bodies. How? In the form of vasana, in the form of thoughts. By sankalpa matra, and we say, just by imagining or just by visualizing, he has created. For us, we need to work a lot to create something. For Ishvara, it's just the visualization is there. So therefore, yaha tapasa jatam. By tapasa, this Hiranyagarbha is born out of the sankalpa of Ishvara. And so therefore, all the gross elements then they will later on they will be born out of this. So out of that initial advaya, out of that initial waters, you would have seen in lot of scriptures also, no, in the beginning there were the waters, only water was there. So you would think like, are they talking about this earth? That on the earth there was only water, but no, that is not exactly correct. Even in the Bible, you will find that same thing. So same concept is there also. That in the beginning there were the waters that represents the initial pure existence, out of which everything is going to be born out, right? And so these later on these five gross elements will come out. They will produce what we call the Sthula Prapancha. That will be called the Virat, the Virat Purusha. So now, uh, in this in this Sukshma Prapancha, the who is residing in the inner cave, Guham Pravishya Tishtantam. The Hiranyagarbha, as Hiranyagarbha, he is remaining as the modulator, as the controller of everything, right? So therefore, Hiranyagarbha is sitting there and controlling all of the things that are going to be uh, manifested or moved or so on. So here also microcosm and the macrocosm, the Hiranyagarbha and the object that he has manifested, they are the same consciousness only. Etat Vaitat. So Sukshma and Karan Shariram, they are all intimately related. So what does this Hiranyagarbha do? या प्राणेन संभवयन् अदितिर्देवतामयी गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तीं यो भूतेभिर्वजायत एतद्वैतत् या प्राणेन संभवयन्ति अदिति देवतामयी गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्ति या भूतेभिर्व्यजायत एतद्वैतत्. So now out of Hiranyagarbha, first of all, the prana, the life force is born. And then Sambhavanya Aditi Devatamai. Then all the different Devatas are born. What are the Devatas? In Tattvabodha we saw the Devatas, they represent the different consciousness at the macro level that is holding together the sense organs, right? So we have 17 devtas for the 17 elements of the subtle body. The subtle body 17 elements are 5 Jnanendriya, 5 Karmendriya, then 5 Prana, and then Man Buddhi. You can include Chitta Ahankar into those. So therefore, all of them have a different devta. Like for Chakshu, you have the Surya Devta. For the nose, Krana, you have Ashwini Devta. And for the ears, you have the Dig Devta, and so on. So that means what? The main Devta is Hiranyagarbha. He is the main consciousness out of which the remaining devtas will be born. So now the sense organs are what? The sense organ is the individual potential to know something. Every indriya, every sense organ is the represents the individual's potential to know something. My eye is the potential of my eye to my seeing power to see whatever the objects are around me. That is my individual potential. And what is the devta? Devta is the total potential. Devta is the total seeing potential. So Surya Devta represents the total seeing power to all of the eyes of the universe, right? So therefore, all this prana, it divides into those 17 components, right? So here prana represents the first division, and then it bifurcates into all the, even though if you call it by the prana, the original prana is also part of the 17 only, right? So this prana is representing the original first prana, the first life force. When it divides, it is given different names. So prana, apana, vyana, udana, saman, all those five. So this prana is the total potential. It contains the total conscious power, uh, which gives the power to these 17 devtas. And of course, there are a lot of devtas also. These are just the main ones. And each devta, each indriya has other also parts or other devtas also. So there are so many other subdivisions also. Recently, we went to Japan, and the guide there, she was also telling us something similar, that we believe that there are gods in everything. So even in the single grain of rice, she said we say 86 devtas, 86 deities, 86 gods. So that is the same as our concept also, that we believe that everything that is holding together, even the smallest of entities, is therefore held together by some divine force, some divine power. So, like they said about the 86 devtas, so what she meant to say was that is why they don't waste any food, because they believe that there is a devta in every. Same way we also say, no, in Taittiriya Upanishad, we say annam na nindyat tatavratam. So, never abuse food. That is a law. That is a rule. You cannot break this. So, never waste food. So all these 17 devtas are entering Guham Pravishya. Along with Hiranyagarbha, they are also entering inside. They are present in all bodies, but they individually also they function through every body. And Guham Pravishya Tishtanti. So they reside. And then again, in the previous verse, Yo Bhutebi Vejayata Etat Vaitat. So similarly, just as that one universal or total Hiranyagarbha perceives the objects of the universe, then same way it also divides into different powers, and they also perform the same function, right? So that same Hiranyagarbha, when it is functioning through the eye, he becomes the seer. Functioning through the ears, he is the hearer. Functioning through the nose, he is the smeller, and so on. So all the different devtas, they are doing the different jobs that have been assigned by this subtle power. The subtle power, no? This Pancha Jnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Pranendriya, the Manaha, Buddhi, they all are present in every individual, and which we call the individual microcosm, and they are also present in the total also. They are in the macrocosm. So in the Samashti, what we have seen, Samashti it is the Devta, and in the Vyashti, it is the Indriya. So all of these, all the Devtas, all the deities together, they go and do this job of perception of all the different names and forms. Bhutebhihi Vijayata. Etat Vaitat. So that is that same consciousness you are also. That same consciousness at both the individual subtle level and the individual causal level, individual at the total subtle level is you only. So again, it is repeating. Etat vai tat. So even in the Hiranyagarbha at the total level and the Hiranyagarbha divided into the different parts or the different sense organs, it is the very, very same consciousness only. So one same consciousness, different levels. So next one, I'll do the ninth one first because we correlate this one later. So let's go to ninth first. यतश्चोदेति सूर्यस्तं यत्र च गच्छति तं देवा सर्वे अर्पिताः तदु नात्येति कश्चन एतद्वै तत् यतश्चोदेति सूर्यस्तं यत्र च गच्छति तं देवा सर्वे अर्पिताः तदु नात्येति कश्चन एतद्वै तत् तो यतः च उदेति सूर्य from where the sun also rises. Astam yatra cha gacchati. Then when it sets, it goes back into that only. Tam devaha sarve arpitaha. So to that deva, all of them surrender to, all of them enter into. Na atyeti kaschana. So again, we are talking here about the Hiranyagarbha only. That is why I left out the 8, because 8 will talk about Virat. So let us finish with Hiranyagarbha hai. So why they have put Virat earlier? Because they are showing there that next step Virat will come. So that is why 8 has Virat. But let us look at this. So yataha cha udeti surya. So one word we saw in the earlier one, 7th one. I'll just go back. So what is that? Ya pranen sambhavati aditi devatamahi. So aditi represents this Hiranyagarbha at the undivided level. What is diti? Diti means divided. Diti is the mother of whom? In Puranas, anyone knows? Who is Diti the mother of? No.
Or
Asura.
Daitya.
Daitya, right. Very good. Yes, very good. So Aditi is the mother of the Daitya, and Aditi is the mother of the Deva, right? So Aditi represents the undivided consciousness, right? Undivided consciousness. So undivided consciousness is Aditi, and it is therefore manifesting the Devatas. So it is manifesting the different beings of the universe who remain connected to it and help to run it. But what is the Asura? Asura, someone who separates himself from the total. So that is why he is the son of Diti. He always wants to maintain his individuality while not giving back anything to the universe, not giving back anything to the total. Right? So when the Asura doesn't give back, he becomes a pariah. He becomes separated. He becomes someone who needs to be cut down, killed, or destroyed. That is why Aditi and Diti represent the same consciousness in two different forms. One form when the offspring are forever connected to it. Offspring never want to separate from it. And the other represents Diti, which is the offspring gets separated from it. So Sambhavan, Diti, Aditi, Devtamai. This here the Aditi is manifesting all the Devtas, right? So now what are these Devtas doing? These Devtas are Surya. Surya represents in one way the whole manifest universe also. How? Because Surya is the Devta of the eyes, right? And the eye represents what? I perceive what? What does the eye perceive? आंखों से हम क्या जानते हैं? Forms, right? Name and form. Naam roop jante hai na? So what is the Virat? Virat is the visible universe. Virat. So that is the universe of name and form. So Surya represents the perceiver of the names and forms. So it represents in a way the Virat also. So somewhere you use Agni also, somewhere you use Surya also. Both are similar only. Yeah, Surya at the total level, Agni at the individual level. So this Surya, this manifester of names and forms, yeah, it is born out of that Hiranyagarbha only. Yatascha udeti. It is born, Udaya. It is born out of that Hiranyagarbha only. And astam yatra chagachati. And finally, when it settles down, when it goes back to that only. Tam devaha service. So apply this same principle to all the devtas. Not just the Surya Devta. So here Surya is the representative of all the names and forms, or all the visible universe. So, same way, all the Devas, the 17 Devas we talked about, and their other associate Devtas, which will run into crores. So of course we have this 36 Devta definition we saw earlier also. It is representing in two ways. 30 36 Koti Devta, so that represents the 36 types of devtas. So you have the Dwadash Aditya, the 12 powers of the sun, then Ekadash Rudraha, then Ashta Vasuhu. So 12 plus 11, 23 plus 8, 31. And then finally next to Indra and Prajapati. So 33 Koti, actually not 36, sorry. So 33 Koti Devta represents these 33 types. But these 33 have infinite number of variations. So therefore, those who say 33 crores also, they are also not wrong. That is also correct. That represents the infinite variety of manifestation these 33 can have. So tam devaha sarve. All these devtas at the individual level, at the total level as individual powers. Sarve arpitaha tadu. They all are merging into that single Hiranyagarbha also. That means what? That all the devtas that you see in the universe, they are that Hiranyagarbha only. They are different names and forms because of their different functions. Different names and forms because of different functions. Just like I can be a father, I can be a boss, I can be a student, I can be anything depending on the activity. So me remaining the same, I can take up different names and forms. So same way, when this Hiranyagarbha takes up different names and forms, then he is also the he takes up different names and forms. So he becomes those different devtas. And what about the unity? Etat Vaitat. So all the different devas, all the individual level, all the total level, they are all running on the same consciousness. That is the fuel for everything to function in the world. Therefore, that same consciousness you are. Etat Vaitat. So you are that consciousness. You are that universal consciousness that is being talked about. So yataha cha udeti surya. So we'll go back to 8. So now this world is being manifested at the gross level. Aranyo nihito jat veda garbha iva subhito garbhinibihi dive diva idyo chagrivatbihi vishmadbhi manushyerapnihi etad vaitat अरण्यो निहितो जात वेदा गर्भ इव सुप्रीतो गर्भिणीभिः दिवे दिव ईड्यो जाग्निवद्भिः विश्मद्भिः मनुष्येभिः अग्निः एतद्वैतत्. So अरण्यो निहितो जात वेदा. So this Agni, this fire, that is present in the Yajna Kund, or in the where we do the Homa. Where does it first appear? Aranyo nihito. There are two wooden pieces. So one is a flat one, other is like a stick, and then you rub it on top of that, and then it produces sparks. And then you place some cotton onto the sides, and therefore that cotton then catches fire, and then you use that to light the home agni, to light the Havan agni. So there you put in some dry sticks, something that easily catches fire, and there you transfer that fire. So that arani is carried everywhere where the grihastha goes, or someone who is what we call an agnihotri, someone who does agnihotra yajna, right? So we talked about agnihotri yajna. So how do we do that? We in the morning we take a small home kunda, a small havan kund, and then in that we put something that can burn. Usually, for small home kunda, we use what we call uh, kanda or gobar, dry gobar, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Fupla. Different names you have. So that you take small pieces, put it in there, and you light it with the fire. Preferably, you put some camphor, kapoor, and then it will catch fire easily. And then you do some offering. So if you have this Havan Samagri, you can buy in a lot of places in India. You get this. Uh, I like to make it on my own, mix things together also. We have this process. And so that way also you can do it. So this, when we do this Havan, the actual Agnihotra Havan, it takes actually about 1 hour, approximately, right? Then there is a smaller one, you can do it in about 15 to 20 minutes. But if you do every day, then like people of these days, we don't have enough time. So when we at least should do the smallest one. So smallest one is what? You take this Havan Samagri, or you can take alternately some rice or even gyo also. Put some ghee on that, and then you take it in a pinch like this with your two fingers in the front, and so and through this, because you are not supposed to use this finger, this is Jiva and this is Paramatma. So you're not supposed to use. So these two you use and you do the offering. So you say Om. First offering has to be to the Devta. That is the in the morning you do it, offer it to Surya. So Om Surya Swaha, Idam Surya, Idam Namama. So when you say Surya, I offer to Surya Swaha. So the moment you say Swaha, that is the point you have to put the samagri or the rice into the fire, right? And then Idam Surya, Idam Namama. This offering I will take no ahankara for this. I don't want to be the doer. So Idam Surya, Idam Namama. This offering that I am offering to Surya, actually it is his only. But I am just becoming the medium for offering it back to him. Because who produced that offering? Surya's energy only. Without Surya's energy, the rice cannot be produced. So Idam Surya, Idam Namama. This is Surya only, not me, not mine either. And then the second offering has to be the one who is giving life to us, Prajapati. So then the next offering is Om Prajapataye Swaha. You pour it, and then Idam Prajapate, Idam Namama. Right. So this is the second ahuti. So when you do the second ahuti, after that, you can either offer with Gayatri Mantra, some offer 3, some offer 5. In the full Havana, you do it 108 times. So when you do that, you offer it to Prajapati and then the 5 Gayatri Mantra and then offer. And then you can sit down and meditate in front of the fire, because that heat of the fire, no, it will make you focused. And so there you can do it. And then you can also do it in the evening, just at sunset. So at sunset, the first ahuti will have to be to Agni. So there Surya is not there, Agni is there. So Om Agnaye Swaha. You offer to Agni, and Idam Agnaye, Idam Namama, you say. And then the second ahuti, again same one will be, this will also be to Prajapati. So Prajapati is common. Om Prajapate Swaha, Idam Prajapate, Idam Namama. Right. So this is how you do Agnihotra. So this Agnihotra is, which we are talking about in this mantra also, Aranyo Nihita Jatveda. This Agni, this fire, it is residing in those two pieces of wood. And by rubbing together, it appears. It was there in unmanifest or potential form, and now it has manifested. Arani also represents a very beautiful thought in the spiritual literature. It represents manthanam, the what we call the churning. So it represents the mind and the intellect also. So when you say Omkaram, first you chant Om. So Om becomes the power through which you do manthanam. And then when you do this manthanam, that means you are churning the mind and the intellect. And when this churning happens, what happens? The knowledge will come out of that. So that is Agni. Agni is Agno, Samanta Janati, by which I am able to know everything. Agno. All round. A means all round, and Gno is to know. So Agni, or the appearance of Agni represents the appearance of knowledge also. So just like in the first mantra of the Rig Veda also, Om Agni Mile Purohitam Yagyasya Devam Rityajam Bhotaram Ratna Dhatamam. So that is same thing only. You are offering to Agni, may he rise, Agni represents your inner individual consciousness also. So this individual consciousness gets manifested when we do this journey. So Aranyo Nihita, then what happens? Jat Veda. Jat Veda is another name for Agni only, but it expresses another aspect of Agni. It expresses the aspect of Agni that this Agni is the knower. Jat Veda, the knower of all knowledge. So Garbha Iva Suprito Garbhini Bhi. So it resides in the Garbha, it resides in the womb. It resides in our inner womb. So that inner womb is who is the inner womb? Hiranyagarbha. Huh. So and through that inner womb, it is going to manifest the world. So dive dive ideo. With every day, with the coming of every day, it manifests this visible universe. Jagrivat the Jagrit avastha, the waking world, it manifests. Through what? Havishvat bihi. Through the offerings into the fire. So what does the offering do? Offering is a sankalpa. Sankalpa that may my wishes become true, or may my desires become manifested. And through our desires, through our ichha, we are able to manifest the objects of the universe. So same way, when we do a homa also, we do our sankalpa, we offer to the Agni, and then whatever our desires, it is said that they will get fulfilled if our mind is pure. So Manushya Ebhihi Agni. All the human beings, they do this act every day to the Agni, to this Agni Devta. So in this Etad Vaitat, so just like this Agni is going to manifest the whole visible universe at the, this is at the individual level, uh, that consciousness you are only. Etad Vaitat. Etad Vaitat. Right? So here we have covered 5. One is left out, no time today. So we'll continue in the next class. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम तत्सत्